Welcome back. Team coverage, queuing up live shots, showing you an event from different angles. There's a reason we double up on major news events. Channel 5's Jonathan Camacho shows us in tonight's photographer's perspective.
On a typical news day, one news crew is usually all it takes to cover the story. But sometimes, certain events require additional coverage, and this usually means assigning more news crews for the story. One recent example of this were the peaceful protests across the valley. In this case, it was in the city of McAllen.
No justice, no peace, no racist police.
It began with our assignments editor Raul Castellan, who after hearing about the protests being scheduled, sent 4 news crews to downtown McAllen to cover the protest. For our Channel 5 coverage, myself with reporter Monica de Anda and photojournalist Yvette Garza and reporter Christian Colon were the 2 crews assigned to cover the protest.
I can't breathe!
I can't breathe.
And on the Spanish side, photojournalist Juan Ansaldúa with reporter Santiago Caicedo and photojournalist Alejandro Villanueva with reporter Javier de la Rosa handled the coverage for Somos Noticias.
Don't shoot!
2 of our news crews met the crowd of protesters at Archer Park. From here, we followed the protesters as they marched peacefully through downtown McAllen, all the way to City Hall where our 2 other news crews were at. The purpose of having multiple crews is to cover as much ground as possible, from different angles, and to get as much video as possible. This included, of course, not only getting different perspectives of the protesters in English and in Spanish,
and we need to stand next to our brothers and sisters, no matter what color they are.
These young people will make the change.
But also anyone that might oppose the protest. And while the protests were peaceful, the businesses around the area had their concerns as well. They had heard through social media about the protests going through the downtown area, so many businesses boarded up their doors and windows as a precaution.
We decided to board our windows because there was a lot of rumors that there was going to be a protest.
Although there was an incident that occurred while the protesters marched, the protests were peaceful. No businesses were damaged or harmed, and the protesters made their voices heard, and our team coverage demonstrated this. Having multiple teams during events like these gives us the ability to get a more in-depth look at the story. It also gives us a variety of shots that other stations may or may not get. And it gives our viewers the best coverage when it comes to important newsworthy stories. For my photographer's perspective, I'm Jonathan Camacho, Channel 5 News, Sunday at 10:30.